If you are someone who is ambitious and works really hard and is wanting to spend the season of your life working to improve yourself and really pour into yourself, and you know that fitness and nutrition would help you be more confident and stronger in every area of your life, including your business, this episode will really resonate with you because this is a client story. She's an entrepreneur and she's busy, and we talked about all the things she's learned here through 1% Healthier. So without further ado, let's get into the podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 1% Healthier podcast. Today, I'm joined by one of my clients, Katelyn, and we're going to share her story on how she has changed and grown through her process with 1% Healthier. So first, I'm going to introduce you by reading her bio, and then we'll jump right in. Katelyn Alyssa is the founder of Studio Cali, a brand and marketing consultancy, The Reputation Method, which is a mentorship for entrepreneurs who want to leverage, refine, and elevate and expand their reputation they carry in their industry. She's also an extreme sports enthusiast who loves everything from snowboarding to motocross. So, Katelyn, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. To start, could you introduce yourself and this season of life that you're in right now?
Yeah, I think you killed it with the bio, but I am Katelyn. The season of life I am in right now is a massive life transformation in relationships, where I'm living, all of that. I don't know how much detail you want me to go into in this intro, but yes, I've been an entrepreneur for almost a decade now, if not longer than that. I actually had a career in modeling, which I'm sure we'll get into because in that industry, there is a lot of chatter around fitness and nutrition and things of that nature that maybe aren't the most healthy. And that's really where my career started, is freelancing there. And then, yeah, I've been kind of an entrepreneur since. So, yeah.
Yeah. She has had a long journey, and that's actually how I found hers because I work with her for the business consultancy part. So it's been so fun to one, learn from her, but also hear how her career and mindset shifts have helped me, and then vice versa, how we've been able to help each other. So if we were to rewind a little bit before we started coaching, before you started working with me to prioritize more of fitness and nutrition, what was your mindset and approach to nutrition and fitness throughout like the beginning of life?
Yeah. So I grew up, I pretty much had to hustle my entire life. And so something that I realized is that as a kid, I grew up a little too fast. And so with a really busy schedule, packed schedule, brothers to care for, I would always put my needs last. And therefore, lunch, even breakfast, would always go off. Like it just wasn't a thing. And I carried that through into my adult life as I've like stabilized and like don't have kids and can actually put my needs first. But it still was really hard because I grew up in a home where we just didn't have the time and we didn't have the resources to put those things first and really understood the value of them. So that was definitely still my relationship before. The one thing that always helped me all throughout like high school and college is I did put sports first. And so anytime that I have like worked out or been incredibly in shape, it's just when I've taken the time to really dedicate towards building myself up and training for a sport or a season, etc.
Hmm. Cool. And we know that there was like a time where you were prioritizing it, obviously with like snowboarding, and that was like a big thing that you wanted to work towards again was being able to snowboard and being in shape and fit for that. Can you walk me through what was like the mindset or the decision behind, okay, what made you want to prioritize this now? What made you want to start working on your nutrition now? What inspired that?
So, okay, we should actually backtrack in my story. I forgot like a really big key point of it. So, in 2017, I lost my brother. He was 19 at the time. And when I lost him, I lost touch with all of my sports and hobbies because they all involved him. And so I found myself going to the gym consistently for the first time ever. I had never done that before. Um, but I knew like all my friends would like train in the gym and stuff like that, and it made them stronger and more flexible when it came to snowboarding and wakeboarding and all of that. And so found myself in the gym because I couldn't get myself to do the hobbies that we once used to do. And I saw a ton of results, not when I was going to the gym, but when I started pairing it with a nutrition plan. So much so to the point where I think you know this about me, maybe you don't, but at one point I did get a fitness or a personal training and nutrition certification and a life
Mhm.
coaching certification. So I knew the results of it or I knew the impact of it, but I just for the years building my marketing agency, I never really had the time to think about it, like to prioritize it, to prioritize writing my own meal plans. I'm sure we'll get to it, but I didn't really need to do that. And so, anyways, in this season of life, going through a massive life transition, leaving an 8-year relationship, I decided now is the time to really pour back into myself while I'm moving through that process. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. Because I think it's cool that not only did you have like the knowledge and education of like, oh, I did get nutrition coaching certifications and the life coaching stuff, and I remember we talked about this. You're like, I have a PhD in self development by now. Like, I should be able to do these things. But for whatever reason, like a few months ago when we started working together, you're like, I need something more sustainable, or I need some doable routines, and I kind of want to take this a little bit more seriously because you'd also mentioned that you'd had a personal trainer before. So
Yes.
it's not like you weren't consistent in the gym because we'd mentioned like you were doing the things. It was just that you were kind of wanting to level up, right?
Yes, right. And to that point, when I lost my brother, what I found carried me through the grief and like the hard time, the transition period, was that consistency in the gym, was that consistency with fueling my body right. I really believe that nature is the best antidepressant, whether that literally means getting outside in nature or fueling your body with the best foods nature provides. And so I had remembered that through that hard time period, that carried me through. So through this time period, why not prioritize it? Obviously, it's not as big of a transition, but it's still a big one. And so, yes, like the gym stabilized me. I wanted to make sure I had a really strong routine with that. But also, the whole reason why I wasn't being consistent was because I was not fueling my body right, didn't have the energy to go. And then, therefore, I was losing that relationship to it, right?
Yeah. Which, yeah, let's talk about that because I remember when we started working together, like the gym was one thing that you really wanted to like dial in on, but we needed to first work on your nutrition so that you could have the energy to go to the gym and to push yourself there. And I think sometimes when people are thinking about starting coaching or starting some kind of program, that it means that we have to have everything perfect from day one and perfect on the next day and the day after that. Like we have to follow the meal plan, we have to do our 10K steps, we have to be drinking the water, and if we're not, we were failing the program. So why did we even start in the first place? And for you, when we started, it wasn't that we did everything at once. We didn't do workout plans, we didn't do nutrition, we didn't, or like all of these different nutrition facets, but we started small. And for you, when we started working together, were there expectations that you had going into coaching versus what it was actually like and the doable things that we started doing? Was there a difference?
Yeah, so to go back to, I have worked with a personal trainer before, and so with that personal trainer, it was like you have to make sure you're hitting this, and this in order to see results. And if you're not, well, did you hit these habits? Okay, well, then that's why if you didn't go to the gym 3 times this week, that's why you're not seeing results. There was never flexibility in it. So I think with you, I kind of came in with that same expectation of if I don't hit my 3 meals a day, my 2 snacks, my whatever, I'm not going to see the same results. But what I noticed that was different with working with you is that we adjusted based on how busy my schedule was. You never made me feel like I fell off the wagon or whatever, right? Like we just started with, okay, how about we just start with breakfast or how about we just start with lunch? And I can't remember which one it was. I think it was lunch actually. And yeah, and how about we just make some time for that? Like let's super easy. You had told me about the freezer foods, of foods I could keep in my freezer that I could just pop in the microwave if I'm in between calls. So that was like the biggest difference on expectation in the results. It was there was no high expectations or bar for me to meet. You really met me where I was at, and to my surprise, it I saw results faster, right? Because I started to like slow but sustainable results faster.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I love that because that's one of my big goals is to meet people where they're at. Because yes, we want to be like this amazing, unstoppable person who can do everything and do, yeah, like exceed in fitness, exceed in our business, exceed in like every area of life. And sometimes it can feel like we are falling short. And if we feel like we're falling short, then we start to like give up on ourselves like slowly and it chips away our confidence. So I think if you have that ability to meet yourself where you're at and then start to build from there, that just is an upward spiral. So I love
Yes.
that. When it comes to those meals, because I know that that was like a big thing that was super helpful for you, was like having some go-to meals for the people that are listening. They're like, I feel like I'm, eating healthy, but what does that look like for you realistic? Like, what were your meals before we started working together versus what are they now?
I would say before it was like whatever I could pop in the microwave. So if it was, but not like how you structured it. So it would be like if I had like turkey meatballs in the freezer. Like I would just eat the turkey meatballs, but the shift that you had me make was making sure that I have protein, carb, color, and then something for flavor, right? I throw
Hmm.
fiber in there too because I
Yeah.
do try to we talked about this. That was
Yes.
something that I needed more of, but so I try to make sure that it's now a balance. It's not just eating like my protein or whatever, like making sure I'm actually getting that balanced portion in there, which does help make me feel satisfied longer, does help my energy longer. I've noticed a huge difference in that. It's not just about eating, it's about what am I actually getting enough nutrients when I am actually eating these meals?
Yeah. Which has that made any difference in like how you show up to work, on how you show up on your calls, how you feel throughout the day? Because I know that was like a big thing too, is energy, right?
Yeah, definitely more like sustained energy. Like I'm somebody who used to run off caffeine. So it was like constant highs, lows, highs, lows, highs, lows, get on a call, like talk to clients for an hour and a half and then absolutely crash after. And so now it's much more sustained throughout the day where maybe I don't have as many high highs, but I also don't have the low crashes, which allows me to kind of just have to do more actually throughout the day, right? So, and
Hmm.
actually go to the gym after instead of before, so I can have a chill morning routine and then go to the gym later in the day, which I found just works better for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. See, you're finding something that works for you. And I think I like that you'd mentioned like you don't have super high highs and super low lows because I feel like being able to have grounded energy, like that's sustainable throughout the whole day, that is what's going to fuel you throughout the whole day, fuel you throughout your whole life. Like it's not a trend. Like you're not just like, oh, I'm eating, I don't know, 30 grams of protein just because it's trendy. Like I'm actually like thinking about it because I know that it's actually good for me in the long haul, not just for like right now. So,
Yeah. I think it's also about like what fuel are you putting in the tank too? Like if you're having the
mm,
high highs and the low lows, you're putting or you're doing something that's causing a lot of adrenaline and cortisol to run throughout your body, which are the high highs, right? And then you're just
mhm.
absolutely crashing as soon as they deplete versus like if you I don't know what the science is behind if you have nutritious meals, what chemicals your body is running off of, but I do have a little bit of awareness of that, obviously, right? So I think that's good to note of like what's the actual fuel going into the tank, and we don't want it to be those stress hormones. Like I've seen the impact of that. So
Yeah. And so that was kind of what changed for nutrition was a little bit more balanced meals, a little bit more sustainable, and giving you the energy that you needed to be able to go to the gym. How did your approach to the gym change? Like, do you feel like your intention behind how you work out, why you work out, how has that changed compared to before we started working together?
I would say because I've had more energy and just like I would even say like mental capacity. Like
Mm,
I don't think we talk about that enough. So I would say that it has allowed me to really get back into lifting in a way where there's actually that mind muscle connection and I'm not just going through the motions, like moving through a couple machines and calling it a day. Like I actually enjoy the workouts and paying attention to how much I'm lifting, what muscles I'm working and which then helps me feel like I'm moving towards something, training towards something. Yeah, and I do think, I don't think we talked about this yet, but I do think setting goals outside of the gym that I'm training for, I think that was a big shift for me too. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't make the nutrition shifts beforehand.
mm. What were those goals that you'd set for yourself outside of the gym?
I think it was snowboarding for a couple hours without a break,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Which I
Yes.
did do. I went on a whole weekend snowboarding trip with my brother and we were going I outworked him and he's a 19-year-old boy.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So 8 hours a day for like 4 days straight. Go, go, go. I mean, sure, we did take breaks, but I had so much more energy. I was able to like pick and choose snacks when we would take breaks based off of what we talked about.
Mm,
We ate before, we ate after. I was even bringing him in on it. And so, yeah, it was cool.
mm. That's so awesome. One of the things that is cool about working on like nutrition and fitness is how much it changes how you show up in your life, whether that's through like your snowboarding and you're snowboarding with your family and the mental capacity to be able to either handle more with work or to be able to do more in life and not be so stressed or worried about food. And I think one of the things that you'd mentioned to me too was because you are like have busy days and you're an entrepreneur, sometimes at the beginning the gym was kind of forgotten about in your day just because you were so busy. Was there anything that helped you actually prioritize it? Because I know that's one thing that a lot of people are wanting to work on, or a lot of people that come to me are like, I want to be able to prioritize meal planning, or I want to be able to prioritize going to the gym more, or having more structure with that. What was it that helped you actually prioritize the gym?
I think for me, like, you know me, I like to understand things and how they work and just have knowledge, right? And so I always say our confidence comes from competence. If you can understand it, you will have more confidence with it. And so I think what helped me was getting back into like you explaining to me the benefits or things I didn't know about working out or nutrition and really having that understanding. Also, the workouts you sent me, like making sure that I'm in the right form, like again, that helped me to feel more confident going into the gym. And the more I would go and do it and like correct myself, that built the confidence. And so, yeah, I don't think any of us want to look like a beginner in the gym. So having your guidance on that was so helpful, especially somebody who's like, done this before, but then it's like you fell off. Like it's twice as hard to be a beginner the second time around versus
Mm,
the first time around.
yes. That's actually a really good point because we do go through different seasons of life, and I think that that's a big through point in your story is like being able to start over again and having the courage to start over, or at least give it another try with a different intention. For the people that are listening to this podcast that are kind of in a similar situation to you, that they've been consistent or they've had like a peaks and valleys in their fitness journey in the past, what advice do you have for them to give them the courage to not be afraid to be a beginner, or maybe not be afraid to start something that might be a little bit different than what they've done in the past?
I always remember that nobody is watching you as hard as you're watching yourself. Like nobody's paying attention to you as hard as you're paying attention to yourself. And so I think really like almost taking that advice and like, okay, am I actually paying attention to myself? Am I noticing the progress that I'm making? Am I tracking that just as much as I am, with, okay, I didn't get that right. Well, can you get it right next time? Like just coaching yourself through it in the moment of like, I get to be a beginner. It's okay. And the only way through it is through it. And to remember, nobody is watching you as hard as you are.
Mm, it's true. The only way through it is through it. And I think that
Yeah.
that's a big lesson to learn, especially I know that you know this big time is like you've gone through so much and the only way out is through, and to be able to learn and just learn as you go and not expect to be like super perfect or have everything figured out right away. So I think that that's a big characteristic of success, especially if you want longevity in fitness or if you want longevity in business, is you have to just start imperfect and then improve as you go and
Yeah.
continue on. So,
I think it also comes back to like the phrase of like something about riding a bike, right? Like once you know how to ride a bike, you always know how to ride a bike. And so I feel like in the gym, it's like, okay, yes, you might look like a beginner for a season or feel like a beginner for a season, but that season's going to be shorter every single time you choose to get back on the bike, right? Like it's like if we in business, if we go to start a new business after we've shut down one or exited one or whatever, we're not starting from zero. We're going to experience the growing pains in the beginning, but A, we're probably going to experience different ones that we're going to learn from. And two, we're going to grow, we're going to speed through that because we've already been a beginner once. We already know what it takes to get through that phase.
so true. So true. Yeah. And you're building that resilience and you're building that grit of like, I'm getting up, I'm trying again, I'm learning, I can do this, and building that belief in yourself. One of the other questions I have for you, I think with 1% Healthier, I talk a lot about how this isn't just like changing you on the outside, but it's also changing you on the inside and how you see yourself and how you can be confident from the inside out, because I think that comes a lot from our habits and the things that we do every single day. For you, do you feel like how you see yourself now or the confidence that you have now is different to in the past now that you've learned to prioritize your nutrition and how you're prioritizing your health and fitness?
Yeah, so I think this comes back to the modeling career I mentioned in the beginning. Like we were always, or our success was always determined based on how we looked. Did we meet the part? And so when I would work out, not work out because I wasn't big in the gym, but when I would go and like do sports to stay in shape or whatever, when I was younger, it was all about, do I look the part? Am I maintaining a certain image? Versus now, it's like, do I feel good? Do I feel like I have energy? Do I feel as good as I look is also a question that I ask myself a lot too. Like, what's the point of looking good if you don't feel good? I've experienced that back in the day where, you would almost pass out after like a session of wakeboarding because you weren't eating enough. And it's like, yeah. So anyways, now it's yes, all internal, not external.
Mm, so good. I love that. And another one of the questions I have for you along that same line is I remember one of the wins that you'd mentioned in one of our check-in forms was developing or feeling this new sense of confidence to be able to put yourself out there. And I've talked with a few of my friends and a few like other prospective clients and other ones that I've talked to about how one of the biggest goals we have is to feel comfortable and confident in our own skin, whether that's to be able to put ourselves out there in the dating scene, whether that's to put ourselves out there for business opportunities or to make friends. What do you feel like has helped you develop that confidence in yourself to put yourself out there again? Because I know that's something that we talked about.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the discipline or the consistency, I should say, of continuing to show up for myself every single day. Even if it's, you know what, I can't make the gym today, but I am going to show up and eat lunch. Or I can only make it to the gym for 20 minutes, but I'm going to go and make those 20 minutes count. Or just, I'm even just going to go and walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes just because I know I need to show up for myself today. And that
Yeah.
consistency, it compounds, right? So
Mhm.
that has really helped as I've put myself back out there to make a whole new friend group, back on the dating scene, like all of these things. Like that has been the one thing that I've come back to of like, can I just show up for myself in at least a small way today if I can't make it the full 45 minutes in the gym or if I can't have the perfect lunch or whatever.
Yeah, which is big because if you only see yourself making progress if it's all or nothing, it's like this perfect workout session or if it's not perfect, then I'm not going to do it. But if you can rewire your mindset to be like, I'm going to do something over nothing, like you said, whether it's I have 20 minutes, I'm going to give it all for 20 minutes, or I'm going to walk on the treadmill, or I'm going to do something, or just focus on my nutrition that day, that makes such a big difference because you're showing yourself that I'm going to show up for myself. And if I'm going to show up for myself, then I'm coming at everything else in that energy with like, I have value and I care about myself. And so I want to have that and respect myself. So I think that's awesome, those little things. Another question I wanted to ask was what mindset shifts do you feel like you had about fitness and nutrition while working with 1% Healthier?
Oh gosh, you might have to remind me of some of the ways that you phrased it. They like live in my brain when I'm going to like make a meal, but I can't think
Yeah.
of like what who I was before and how you actually shifted it. But I would say progress over perfection is a big one. Like can't let's not worry about getting it perfect. Let's worry about just making progress here. Like even if it's like a lunch where it's like, oh, like I don't have a veggie to pair with this today. I forgot to grab one at the grocery store. Okay, well that doesn't mean I'm gonna throw the rice out. Like we're gonna
Right.
we're gonna eat the meatballs and the rice and call it a day, and we'll get a veggie in later or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, I would also say there was a big shift you helped me make in the gym when it comes to it's not about like just moving through the motions. I don't know how I phrased it before, but it's like not about moving through the motions. It's about are you really putting in enough, like listening to your muscles to make sure you're actually pushing them to the point of almost failure, because that is where the real strength happens. Like it's not about more time in the gym. It's are you actually being intentional with how much you're lifting or the workouts that you are doing.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's a big takeaway that will help a lot of people is how you're actually spending your time in the gym. Because I know that there's a lot of people that I see that are like either spending like 2 hours in the gym or doing two workout classes in the gym, but it's like, yes, like that moves the needle, but how intentional can you be in those gym sessions of how should your body feel when you're like lifting the weights? Like if you're really wanting to get stronger, like you should feel like you're slowing down, but being able to maintain good form. And if you can do that, then you're actually stimulating those muscles enough to create the change. And then you need to eat your protein and carbs to help support your muscle growth, etc. So I think that that's good. That was something that's now sticks in your brain is
Yes,
being intentional.
yeah, like I always knew, like it's not just calories in, calories out, right? Like people simplify it down to that, but that's not just what it is. And so you help me take it a step further though to better understand, okay, well, what does that mean then? If it's not just calories in, calories out, where do I need to put my focus?
Mm-hmm. That's so true too. Yeah, because I think sometimes people can oversimplify it and think it's just calories in, calories out, or they simplify it and say like, oh, there's no point in needing to think about calories at all when I mean there is like that point where calories do matter, or like the macronutrients of your food, they do matter, and how much of each one you have, because that impacts how you're going to recover, that impacts how you're going to sleep, that impacts your energy. So I think that there is this balance that we need to learn to strike, and that's the beauty of one coaching, but the beauty of learning how to fuel your body personally, or learning how and what to eat for your goal specifically, because then you know, and I can have confidence in how you're eating instead of
Yep.
just guessing or like thinking that it's too complicated or too simple. So
Yes. I would say too, that's another thing that helped was understanding other cues, not just like, again, like a lot of the fitness advice you hear is like calories in, calories out for weight loss. But like, what if you don't want to feel as bloated? Like that was a big thing that I was experiencing was like I just felt bloated after every meal and then I didn't want to eat because I was almost like nauseous after every single meal, but it was what I was eating. It wasn't that I wasn't eating enough or I was eating too much. It was actually the macronutrients in the actual meals that were off balance. So
mm-hmm.
that's another big thing.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that too. Are there any big takeaways that you feel like you've had throughout coaching that have now changed the trajectory of how you're going to approach your motocross goals, your snowboarding goals, or future fitness goals in the future?
Yeah, I think one, maintaining a consistent, like almost like a consistent presence, right? Like even if I'm
Mm.
not in a season of training for something, I'm still gonna make sure that I'm like going to the gym consistently, even again, if it's just a quick walk on the treadmill or just to get myself in there. That's a big takeaway. The next takeaway is like it's okay to be in seasons where you're training for something. So, like, big thing I'm training for right now in the actual gym is to be able to go and do expeditions on dirt bikes, which is going to be so cool.
Yeah.
So, there's that. So, I will be in a season of that, but it's okay to also not be in that season and kind of just let it ebb and flow. And yeah, what else? I'm trying to think. Adjusting your, paying attention to your hunger, fullness cues, paying attention to how your body is responding to the actual meal, I think is really important. I think we, especially as women, like throughout the month, we go through different periods where we need different foods depending on where our hormones are at. That's a whole nother thing that I've started to pay attention to just in myself. So yeah, I would say those are like the top three.
That's awesome. Cool. I love this. And for someone who is wanting to learn more about understanding your hunger and fullness, I know this is something we talk about too. And I know that I have a couple of podcasts on that I can link below in the show notes. But what were the breakthroughs that you had when you were trying to listen to your hunger and fullness and you didn't want to eat so much so that you like felt sick or like nauseous after eating? How did you kind of navigate that throughout coaching and learning your own body?
Yeah, I think it was important to slow down at every meal. Like I used to be the person that was either scrolling on my phone or working. That was a big thing. I would eat at my desk, working, replying to emails, and I stopped doing that completely. The only thing I will do if I'm eating now is I will read like an actual paper book, which helps me slow down, pay attention to what's going on, whether that's literally around me in my environment or in my body as I'm eating. So I really think it's just yeah, paying attention, being present in the moment to what your body is trying to tell you. For me, feeling bloated was just the cue that I always had after if there was something that was off. And
Mm,
yeah, so it's like finding that cue that's like specific to you, I feel like.
yeah, cool. Super helpful. Well, one of my last questions for you is if you were to go back to the beginning of coaching, what would you tell yourself about the journey that you are going to experience in coaching? What advice would you give to either yourself or for other people that are going to be starting 1% healthier coaching? What advice would you give them?
I would say that this isn't going to be another thing on your plate. It's actually going to help free up mental space on your plate.
Mm,
It's going to help you expand your energy to feel like you have more time throughout the day. Definitely feel like that's how a big part of the transformation for me and to have standards for yourself, but also like keep your expectations low. I think there's a difference between the two.
mm.
Standards for this is who I want to be and my expectations. I'm okay if I don't hit that every single day as long as I'm working towards it, right? 1% better every single day.
Yeah. Look, that reminds me, okay, like the ceiling and the floor of like, this is like
Yep.
what I'm really aiming for. And if I cannot hit that, like, this is the bare minimum of what I'm going to be doing is that floor, which like we talked about, is 20 minutes a day on the treadmill. That's our floor. Like we are going to do that no matter what. But what we really want to do is this workout at the gym and like hit that. So I think that's a really good advice. And I love that you I love that you say that this is not just something to add to your plate, because I think sometimes people think about starting something and it's like, I do not have the capacity to think about, oh, I'm starting this whole new thing. When really, like, a lot of the things we talk about and a lot of things that we do are things you're doing already. We're just elevating them and making them better and making them a little bit more intentional. And so I'm glad that it's not overwhelming. Like that's my favorite thing to hear. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I would say you help simplify everything. So that way it actually felt like less like I can shut my brain off when I go and open the fridge to figure out what I'm going to have for lunch. Or,
Mm,
I just have more mental capacity because I'm not thinking about what do I have to buy at the grocery store. I already kind of have it in my routine of what I'm going to grab. So like Sunday meal prepping isn't necessarily off the table anymore because I'm not spending so much time at the grocery store overthinking. Like I actually have energy to meal prep. So yeah, that's a big
yeah.
thing.
Well, love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Well, Katelyn, this has been so cool to one, hear about your journey, to hear about the different mindset shifts that you've had, to continue to see where you're going. And I'm so excited to see like how you continue to grow and progress. The last question that I have for you is, what does 1% healthier mean to you?
Ooh, that is such a good question. Oh man, how do I put it into a sentence? I really feel like it means like self-compassion, like every single day, just working toward just what's one thing that you can do to move towards the version of you want to become. And as long as you are taking one small step in that direction, you're going to become that person before you know it.
Beautifully said. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. Caitlin, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And for everybody that is listening, keep being 1% healthier, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, of course, please give it a 5-star rating and review on the platform that you were listening on, whether that is Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. And of course, if you really enjoyed it and you're liking the direction that your life is going now that you are trying to be 1% better every single day, make sure to leave a rating down below or share an episode with a friend that you think would resonate with them. Of course, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the 1% Healthier community. I will also put a couple episodes down below in the description box for you if you are wanting to learn more about the things that we talked about today so that you can continue on your journey, which is like how to understand your hunger and fullness better, how to structure meals so that way you can fuel your body and nourish your body better. So if that interests you, I'll have those down in the description box below. But again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.